how to move HTML site to WordPress. In this video session, I'm going to share some core insights as to how you may be able to move HTML built website to WordPress. Keep in mind, this video session possibly cannot show you exactly the steps that is required, but rather I'll share with you insights as to how you need to consider moving HTML to WordPress. And I'll share with you insights in terms of making that process simple for yourself. Because I've created a video session called How to Move HTML Site to WordPress. And I'm getting many comments saying, you know what, you kind of didn't show us how I need to move my HTML site to WordPress. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, let me then show you what's actually required, because it's quite complex. What we're seeing here is basically simple HTML site, right? So let's imagine I want to move this HTML built web page, because all web pages are the same, right? It's just HTML. So let's imagine this was my structure of my HTML site. And now I'm thinking, okay, I want to take this structure and start using WordPress. Well, in professional web development, which basically is this HTML site to WordPress, it's still web development. That means you're developing a new theme, new website. So then it's smart to start using wireframing, because this is the only way to do it properly. Or else, as I've mentioned in this particular video, saying, okay, you know what, it's maybe smart to go and get WordPress themes and reverse engineer that, because that's going to be much easier. Not only that, even if you do that, you still need to learn a lot of different things. Now, if you know them, then this video session will be of benefit to you. If not, just remember, the insights in terms of what's shared in this old video is smart for you to consider. But let's go and see. Let's imagine this HTML site had the header portion. Then you need to write things down saying, okay, you know what? In the HTML site that you may have, the height for the header portion is, let's say, 300 pixels. And say, okay, you know what? You're going to have a logo here, which you may have with your HTML site. Then you say you need to work out the height and width of that logo as well. Then the body area and the sidebar and footer. So now you've got the width, which could be measured in pixels or points and so on. So wireframing is the first step, because what you need to do to be able to move HTML to WordPress is you need to create your own theme. Now that's the tricky part. WordPress theme has a structure. That means now you need to start going in to develop a help section to learn about how WordPress works. Makes sense? So if you're creating a HTML site and taking that and making it go into WordPress, it's a two different areas, so to speak. HTML is basic HTML site. So that means your HTML file will look like this. So in the example I had before, let's go see. Okay, I'll show you the old Rankia, which was built on HTML. I'll show you the source code of it so that you see. So HTML, obviously, right now you should be familiar with that. And you'll have your body structure, the header portion, the body element, which are sections, and sidebar and footer and so on. So now you've done your wireframing. You know exactly the width and proportions of the elements on a web page. Next, you need to now go to WordPress and start learning how WordPress template structures work. Now, the simplest way to tackle this is actually download WordPress theme, because WordPress creates free themes each year. And there are thousands upon thousands of free ones. So you may think, okay, you know what? WordPress, let's say 2019 is the latest one. download this and say, okay, this is free WordPress theme ready to go. That means you may be, say to yourself, okay, you know what, this theme looks similar to my HTML site. So now you don't have to create your own template. But since there is many comments saying, you know what, you didn't show us, I'll basically show you what you need to do, right? So what you need to do is, first of all, with your web server, so we'll go to GoDaddy web server. I'll log into my account and show you. Basically, you need to FTP into your website. Okay, so let's go and see this. I'll go to one of my valued clients cPanel so I can show you, because I don't have the cPanel with GoDaddy, right? Okay, let's go. The screen may be blurted. I'll log in as my valued client so that you see what a cPanel looks like. And I'll show the structure on a web server if you're not familiar with it, okay? So let's log into a cPanel. All cPanels will give you basically similar user interface. Let's go to cPanel admin. So now we've got file manager, which is public_HTML. This is where your static HTML site currently is residing in, if your website is live on internet, right? So what you need to do then is say, okay, you know what? I want to now move my HTML to WordPress. Then you say, okay, let me create a folder called backup. So then what you would do is, once you create your theme, as I've said, I was going to show you how to do that, right? So let's just say my new site. Okay, within it, this is what you need to do. Let's just create a couple of new files. And let's call this index.php. Now we're going into the realm of PHP, because for you to be able to move your HTML site, you actually need to learn PHP as well, because WordPress is a dynamic content management system that utilizes PHP as well. So let's call this style.css. Okay, let's do that, and let's also copy paste, and let's create another file called functions.php. Now we can create another file, call it header.php. Let's create another file and call it, let's say, content.php. Now I'm not going to show you what goes in here, because I will be here 3 months to explain how to create WordPress themes from scratch. Because as I've said, you first need to learn how WordPress works, then you need to learn how PHP works, or else how can you move a HTML site to WordPress, right? So, as I've said to you, the smartest and easiest way then is to download the theme that is made available by WordPress and just reverse engineer it. Okay, so that's a WordPress theme. That's the structure of a theme that's ready-made, ready to go. Surely there are many premium themes, and it's smart for you to consider purchasing one if you don't want to learn how WordPress works and how PHP, HTML, and CSS works. Now, this is the structure of 2019 WordPress theme, which is free. And I'll just show you style.css. This is where your styling CSS of your HTML site would go in. That means your old site, which was built on HTML, let's open the file in location. Now you'll have an old CSS, right? So the old Rankia was using static HTML with this CSS. So you would copy your CSS into here. But would that be smart? Because your new WordPress site, for you to exactly match it, you need to work out pixel by pixel of how your site was currently. Now with coloring and so on, brand assets and so on, surely you can copy the old one and place it into your CSS of WordPress. Okay, so that could go in there and then you could tweak things accordingly. Now it's smart at this stage to actually create a test site. You can easily do that by creating subdomains and use it as a test site. So before everything is perfected, you're not going live, so you don't lose your current Google rankings, okay? Now, the next smart part for you then is say, okay, that was my old CSS. Now, remember, when we created this structure here, we're basically creating our WordPress theme. And as I've said, it's very complex. That means let's take index.php. These are WordPress specific PHP functions. So that means it says get header. At minimum, you'll have header.php file for WordPress themes, which includes your HTML tag, as we can see, the head portion, and then body element. Then your theme will have, let's go and say footer. So header.php, content.php, footer.php. At minimum, this is how you can create your WordPress theme so that you can work on aligning everything in terms of the body. You wrap everything within body. So header.php in WordPress basically blurts out the header section. I'll show you my blog so that you get an idea as to what in the world I'm talking about. So this header section here, this header section, as we can see, that's coming from Rankia blog theme. So I've created my own theme when I was moving my HTML site to WordPress. And this is Rankia theme. As you can see how complex it is though. I've got header.php file. So this header portion is coming from header.php file. Now, I'm using template parts, so I can create modular folder structure. Makes sense? So it all depends on your level of knowledge right now, or else, as I've said at the beginning, you need to learn and be very efficient with HTML. You need to learn CSS. You need to learn PHP programming language, as well as how WordPress works. Because only once you do that, then you're comfortable and you can easily move your HTML site to WordPress. Now, if you don't learn these, then the smartest and easiest way to move your HTML site is by reverse engineering a WordPress theme that looks similar to your current HTML site. And then it's just a matter of going to your cPanel, creating a database, MySQL database, create a user for that database, and just upload a copy of WordPress content management system into public_HTML. And WordPress wp-admin content includes, these are the folder structure of WordPress, and then the files that makes WordPress. You can easily download WordPress. Let's say you reside in Australia, then you would download the Australian version, but makes no difference really, because you can always change the language settings. It's a free version, and this is your WordPress content management system. Rank Your YouTube channel shows you how to create and install WordPress. Okay, so I won't cover that. Now, I've taken my time while working for valued clients to get over WordPress optimization project. Keep in mind, for you to be able to move HTML site, it's quite complex. So I would strongly encourage you to not just go to YouTube channel, even though I've uploaded this video on YouTube. Just remember, unless you're willing to, at least learn 2-3 months of knowledge, you're not going to be able to move your HTML site to WordPress. It's smart to perhaps hire someone else who can do that for you. Or just search for free themes or even premium themes that's already designed perfectly. So you can change things around, make your new WordPress site look like your old HTML site, because that would be perhaps more ideal for you, unless you want to learn or perhaps offer web development services, okay? So at the end of the day, once you install WordPress, you'll love it because it's so easy to use for managing your content. And the fact that it's open source means there are thousands upon thousands of free themes, many plugins that you can use, and so on. Don't be disheartened by this video trying to tell you, it's very complex. It all depends on your resources. Okay, once again, let me quickly wrap it up. To be able to move HTML site to WordPress, you need to do a lot of work. You need to work out how your HTML site is currently looking, work out the header portion, the content portion, sidebar, footer, download a WordPress theme, perhaps even a basic theme. If not, I've basically shown to you the structure of it. You need style.css for styling your new WordPress theme. You need functions.php. You need header.php, footer.php, and content.php. And I've just shown to you what that file may look like in terms of downloaded WordPress theme. So it's smart to reverse engineer this, because think about this. _e skip content 2019 theme. That's a link. It's within anchor text, anchor element, hyperlink. Then we've got is singular. That's WordPress specific. Post thumbnail. These are PHP code. You need to learn this to be able to move your HTML site. Okay. Or then we say if is singular, then do something. What? Do what? Bring out the post, as in whatever you put on your site in terms of new post or a page. For WordPress, that's called the post, global variable. Okay, so whatever you put here, this makes that come out. Makes sense? And then it's saying, okay, if it's singular, get template part, and so on. This is for the header portion. Right, so the content for 2019 theme, it's in template parts. We've got post, content area, that's the content.php. So it's wrapped within an article element here. But once again, these are WordPress specific PHP functions. So you need to learn all this before you can match your HTML site to your new WordPress site. As you can see, that's quite complex. I hope this video has at least guided you in the right direction. If anything, just go to wordpress.org and start learning about template hierarchy, because you need to create your new theme which uses template files in WordPress. In either case, for more WordPress related tutorials, visit Rank Your YouTube channel, because you will learn a great deal of how to optimize a WordPress site, including Rank Your's own functions and so on, that I don't think anyone else out there has them, unless they worked with WordPress for many, many years. That means you'll have a better WordPress site that brings consistent website traffic as well as better conversions, relying on ranker experience. I thank you very much for learning with me, and I'll talk with you in the next video session.